I'm Tia Borden with MiningIR, and beside me is Scott Berdahl of Snowline Gold, President and CEO. Is that correct?
Just CEO.
Just CEO.
Yeah.
Still a pretty heavy title.
Yeah, and director.
And director. So
Yeah.
you're busy, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely busy.
Can you give us an overview of the company?
Sure. So Snowline Gold is a new gold explorer in the Yukon, but we're based on decades of work started by my father, who was a prospector in the territory, and he dragged my brother and myself out into the bush when we were growing up. And so I've spent decades out there banging rocks and trying to make discoveries. And our competitive advantage was always to stay off the beaten path and to go test new ideas in new parts of the territory. And through that, we covered a lot of ground, and we were able to option out some pretty big ideas and big projects to companies, especially during the boom in 2010. Those came back in the crash in 2013, but they came back with a lot of data, and a lot of our ideas were validated, and some interesting anomalies and discoveries were made on those land packages. And so we've kind of nursed them along since through the doldrums of the past 10 years and launched Snowline in March 2021, focused on gold, focused on these district-scale discoveries, and really delineating this part in the eastern Yukon that had huge anomalies, very prospective geology, and just had not been looked at before in a historical context. And so we went back in there. We've since drilled 3 targets. We've hit visible gold at every single one of the 3. So on phase 1, never before drilled targets. And on one in particular, our valley target, we've stumbled into a very large and unusually high-grade bulk tonnage gold system that looks like one of the better discoveries to come out of the Yukon in possibly ever.
What is the Yukon like as a mining jurisdiction?
It's a stable political environment. We have great rocks, obviously, and it's a place where things can happen. So the government really seems to be focusing on supporting the industry in dealing, with kind of the local perception of mining and everything else. Things are moving ahead. We are making steps with First Nations who are coming to the table, and really constructive conversations are being had there. So yeah, it's a great place to be working, and it's a place where you can find something and build a mine out of it.
And I understand the Yukon is celebrating its 125th anniversary of the gold rush. What does that mean for your project?
Well, I think it's interesting that after 125 years, you can still go out there and find things sticking out of the ground. The discoveries we've made were really prospecting discoveries where we followed up on the geochem that we were doing, and sure enough, in creek beds, you're seeing outcrops of mineralization, you're seeing float coming down streams, and so 125 years later, the Yukon is still the Yukon. The Yukon is alive, and discoveries can be made.
Scott, what are some catalysts that investors should be aware of?
Well, we're getting to a stage as a company where the discovery we've made has really gained traction in terms of putting a floor underneath what we have. It's not just a one-off hole down the guts of a system. We're showing that this discovery has scale, it has grade, it has consistency, it has a lot of things that you'd want to see. And as part of that, we're still waiting for 6,000 meters, the drilling of about 13,000 meters that we did in 2022. And so that itself, we're still in the midst of this discovery. And we're also starting on metallurgy work. And from looking at the kind of system that we're into, looking at analogs like Fort Knox in Alaska, like Eagle in the Yukon, the metallurgy looks to be very similar. And so we're actually doing the testing to know, how recoverable, how workable this gold will be, and what the process to do that would be. And but again, looking at those analogs, we're pretty optimistic about those results. And then from there, we're stepping into 2023. We'll have 3 drills out on site, and we're looking forward to a very active year.
What excites you most about the potential of 2023?
That's a good question. I think what we've shown when we stepped into this area, it was because we saw a district. The discovery I've been talking about, Valley, that wasn't necessarily the main focus. Obviously, now that we've found it, it's a very exciting thing to find. But what excites me is not only getting back out to Valley, but looking over the fence. And if we had this district scale idea, and if we tested it in a few different spots, and it's shown as much as it has in such a small amount of time, what does that say for the rest of the package? And so I'm really excited to get back out there and to test a lot of new targets and hopefully make more discoveries.
What separates Snowline from other junior mining companies?
I think, in addition to just being in a district that hasn't been looked at before and having a very strong toehold of a land position there based on our extensive data set in the area, I think when you zoom back into that valley target, we have a lot that is basically we check a lot of the boxes that you'd want to see in terms of mining. So again, the scale, the consistency, the grade, presumably the metallurgy, although the tests are outstanding now, and even the geometry of the deposit. It looks like it would be something that would be mineable with a very low strip ratio. Mineralization starts at surface. We had a nice hole with 108 meters at 4 grams per ton right from surface. So yeah, it's really just a well-rounded deposit, I guess you could say, in that it really has the attributes that we're looking for in every category.
Scott, is there anything that you would like to leave our investors with?
I think that's
You covered
basically
it all.
it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Okay. Thank you, Tia.